He sat nervously at the corner table of a cozy restaurant in downtown Toronto, the kind with soft jazz playing in the background and warm amber lights reflecting off the wine glasses. Ethan glanced at his watch again. 7:02 p.m. His blind date was supposed to arrive 2 minutes ago. He straightened his shirt, checked his phone, and tried to calm the unease in his chest. It had been months since he'd gone on a date, not since his breakup with Lily, a relationship that had ended abruptly, leaving behind a quiet ache he didn't know how to silence. The waiter poured him water and gave a polite smile. "First date?" he asked kindly. Ethan chuckled. "That obvious?" The waiter nodded, laughing softly before moving away. Ethan tapped his fingers on the table, wondering if he should just leave. Blind dates never really worked out for him. He wasn't the best at small talk, and after the heartbreak he'd been through, opening up again felt like learning to walk after forgetting how to stand. Then the door opened, and a woman stepped in. She looked around, scanning the tables nervously, holding her purse close to her chest. Her hair was tucked behind her ear, her soft brown curls catching the light. There was something strangely familiar about her, something in the way she moved, her posture, the nervous smile that played on her lips. Ethan's heart gave a sudden, sharp tug. He didn't recognize her, and yet, part of him did. She walked toward him hesitantly. "Ethan?" she asked, her voice gentle, uncertain. He stood, smiling awkwardly. "Yes, that's me. You must be." He paused, trying to recall the name his friend had mentioned when setting him up. "Maya," she said, extending her hand. Her eyes met his, and in that instant, time seemed to stop. He froze. That gaze, those soft brown eyes, filled with warmth and something deeper. His breath caught. "Maya," he repeated, though it wasn't her name he was really saying. It was recognition, memory, the sound of an old wound opening and healing all at once. Because he knew those eyes. He had looked into them before, years ago, when he was 19, standing on a college campus in the rain, laughing under an umbrella with a girl he thought he'd never see again. Her expression shifted too, the polite smile fading into surprise, then disbelief. "Ethan Carter," she whispered. "You're kidding me." And suddenly the air between them changed, from awkwardness to something electric, something too real to be coincidence. They sat down slowly, both still in shock. "I can't believe this," Maya said, shaking her head with a smile that was half nervous laughter, half nostalgia. "Of all the people in this city," Ethan smiled, the corner of his mouth trembling. "I didn't even recognize you at first. It's been, what, 10 years? 11, she said softly. "Since graduation." They talked for hours, forgetting about the time, the food, the other people around them. They reminisced about college, how she used to draw sketches during lectures, how he used to bring her coffee every morning. Back then, they had been inseparable, until life pulled them in different directions. She had moved to Vancouver for work. He had stayed behind, chasing his career. They promised to keep in touch, but promises faded like photographs left in the sun. Now here they were, two strangers sitting across from each other, hearts pounding with memories they never meant to relive. Maya spoke about her life, her marriage that didn't last, the loneliness of moving from city to city. Ethan told her about his long relationship that ended last year, the heartbreak that pushed him to give up on love entirely. "You know what's funny?" she said softly, stirring her drink. "I almost canceled tonight. I was tired. I didn't think blind dates ever worked." Ethan smiled faintly. "I almost canceled too." They both laughed quietly, the kind of laugh that feels like breathing after holding it too long. When the night grew late, and the lights dimmed further, she looked at him with a sincerity that reached deeper than words. "Do you think fate gives people a second chance?" Ethan thought for a moment. Then he said, "Only if they're ready to see it." Silence filled the space between them, not the kind that's awkward, but the kind that feels like home. Outside, snow had started to fall, blanketing the streets in soft white light. Ethan offered to walk her to her car. They stepped outside together, their breaths visible in the cold air. He handed her his scarf when he noticed her shiver, just like he used to in college. She smiled, holding it close. As they stood by her car, neither wanted the night to end. She looked up at him, eyes glistening with something unspoken. Maybe we were never meant to meet back then, she said quietly. Maybe it had to be now. Ethan nodded slowly. Maybe. They said goodbye, but the way they lingered, the way their hands brushed, said something else entirely. When she drove away, Ethan stood there in the cold, watching her car lights fade into the snowy distance, his heart beating faster than it had in years. That night, as he walked home, his phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. Still think blind dates don't work? He smiled at the screen, warmth spreading through his chest. Maybe they do, he replied. Sometimes life doesn't give us what we ask for. It gives us what we've lost, just when we've finally learned how to see it again. And as the snow continued to fall softly over Toronto, Ethan realized something simple but beautiful. Love doesn't always arrive when we want it to. But when it does, it feels like recognizing someone you thought you'd forgotten, only to find they were waiting, just like you, all along.